Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the media launch of the 21st Wesley Powell Benjamin's Track and Field Meet. It is our pleasure to host you this morning in person and online with our live stream on Excelsior Eagles TV on YouTube. I am Kim Lee Levy and I will be your MC for this morning's proceedings. As we gather here today, let us take a moment to express our gratitude and to seek guidance. Let us pray. Almighty God, we lift our hearts to you in gratitude for the gift of life and the many blessings you have bestowed upon us. We thank you for your presence in our midst, and especially on this occasion of the media launch of the 21st Wesley Powell Benjamin's Track and Field Meet. Lord, we are grateful, too, for the interest of so many in this event and the ways they have and will participate. Guide our proceedings, Lord, and may everything that will be done will go according to plan and yield great success. Hear us now, Heavenly Father, as we pray in Jesus' name. Amen. I now invite our principal, Mr. Dean Roy Bromfield, who will deliver the official welcome and greetings.
Thank you, Madam Chairlady. Good morning, everyone. I'll start with welcome. I want to again welcome everyone who is here to this launch for our 2024 Wesley Powell Memorial Meet. Excelsior is represented here by Dash, and so on behalf of the principals and members of Dash, on behalf of the organizing committee of this meet, the rest of the Excelsior High School family joins in extending this welcome. We are grateful that I can be here again this morning, and I get this privilege simply because I am principal. So I'm not going to be very long. I will allow the lady who looks better and sounds better than me to do many more of the introductions. But I want to acknowledge the presence of Mr. Gittins. Thank you very much for partnering with us for another year, and we are really very appreciative of that. We want to say thank you too to all the other sponsors who have come on board or have decided to continue with us. We are extremely grateful. And clearly we couldn't have this without you. I want to also indicate that we want to welcome the persons who are online. Recognize that everybody is not seated. Everybody who is participating in this event isn't seated in here. So we welcome the persons who are online, and we're grateful for your presence and your support. Your support has enabled us to continue with this meet that we describe as the first track and field meet for schools for the year, for the season, let me put that right. And we believe that this track and field has resulted in the development of quite a number of athletes who have gone on to do extremely well, both at schools, at champs, and beyond, even to participate in international events for Jamaica. And we pray that this year's event will continue to be one that allows everybody to do their very best. I want to say a special welcome to a very special lady, Mrs. Riley. Welcome. You know I have to call your name. And when you hear the number of other Rileys that are being called, you will understand why I have to call that name. And then I want to say thank you to all the persons who support us logistically. I want to thank members of the media. I already thanked the sponsors and indicated how grateful we are. I want to thank everybody who has made this event possible and who will make the event on December 14 possible. And then I want to say a very special welcome to the coaches and from the other schools that are here. And also welcome to the other athletes who are here. I can see St. Jago, I can see Woolmers, I can see Sir who is always here with us. Thank you for being a part of our function again. And then I want to say a very special welcome. Is it Mr. McCallum I'm seeing over there? Mr. McCallum is my boss in many ways. So thank you for being here, Mr. McCallum. It all started with you many years ago, back in the 1990s, I think it was. And I want to say a very special welcome to my former education officer who is here in another capacity, but I have to acknowledge her as that. Thank you, Mrs. Glanville. Now, if I didn't call your name, it doesn't mean that you're less important. I hope you recognize that. It just means that you don't want me up here this long. So, a very special welcome to everyone again. I want to say that I hope this event will result in communicating to you all that is planned, making clear whatever is going to happen, and that you will enjoy the hour so that you spend with us. And once more, we're grateful for your presence. Oh, and in my nervousness, very special welcome to Dr. Franklin, who is going to be an extraordinary public speaker this morning. And I'm sure we're going to hear a lot from her. No pressure, Dr. Franklin. You're going to be great. I know that, and you know that, and all of us know that. Thank you very much. May God bless us.
Thank you, Mr. Bromfield. Now let me take a moment to share with you the history and significance of this esteemed event. The Wesley Powell Benjamin's Track and Field Meet 2024 is embarking on its 21st staging. The meet started in 1998 to honor the memory of the late founder, Dr. the Honorable Aston Wesley Powell, and has grown tremendously, from 21 schools and 700 athletes participating to over 1,700 athletes representing from 53 teams. Many of our senior track and field stars have competed at some point in their developing years at the Wesley Powell meet. These include Asafa Powell, Shelley Ann Fraser Price, Melanie Walker, Megan Simmons, Akira Nugent, Nisha Berger, Jahil Hyde, Julian Fort, Clive Pullen, Cheyenne Salmon, Natalia White, Raheem Ford, Jelani Gordon, and Julian Alfred, the 100 meters women champion at the Paris 2024 Olympics. In addition to the competition on the track, we will also host a coaches clinic on the throws, as well as a workshop for athletes, parents, managers, and coaches. Both will be on Friday, December 6th, with the workshop at 11 a.m. on Zoom and the clinic at 2 p.m. right here at Excelsior. The meets will have 52 track events and 32 field events for both males and females, who will compete in classes 1, 2, 3, and 4, and open for high school and open for clubs, colleges, and institutions and primary schools. This year, the primary schools will run their own races in a single division rather than with the Class 4 high school athletes. None of this can be done without our sponsors, and we are appreciative of all those who have come on board to make the 21st staging a success. Please join me in welcoming Don Gittins, General Manager of Manpower Maintenance Services Limited, one of our gold sponsors, as he brings greetings.
Thank you, Madam Chairperson. Principal, distinguished guests, students, and everyone online, Good morning, and it's a wonderful morning to be having a lunch today. We at Manpower, the Manpower Group, are extremely elated and humbled to be associated with Excelsior High School, as well as the Wesley Powell Benjamins track and field meet. And I'll figure out a way how myself and Chris can work a little bit better to ensure that we give even more value than we are giving now. When I came on board and I decided that we're going to, give a little bit more than we would usually. And we decided that we're going to take on the track. Everyone said the track was fantastic. Right, Mr. Shakespeare? Fantastic. So internally, I tell the team, for us to get where we need to get to, we need to improve on ourselves at least 10% every day. And if we do 10% every day, you get to 100 and you'll surpass it, right? So this year, we're going to improve on what we did last year. We're going to figure out a way how to do that. Although we did really well last year, we're going to figure out a way to how we do that. So I want to bring greetings on behalf of the chairman and the board of management of the Manpower Group. And I'm looking forward to an excellent and successful meet. And I'll be there from the beginning until the end. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Gittins. And of course, the 21st staging of the Wesley Powell Benjamins meet would not be possible without our organizers. So let me introduce to you the members of the organizing committee. We have our chairperson, Desmond Shakespeare, Michael Dredini, David Riley, Dr. Wade Marr, Patrick Brissett, Dr. Carol Long, Daniel Gray, and Garth Riley. I would also like to acknowledge and introduce to you our meet officials, our meet director, Cosmo Stevens, competitions director, David Riley, call room referee, Langley Robinson, Chief Marshal Rashid Josephs, registration underrun JA, photo finish J3A, field referee, Carol Cuffley, track referee, Olive McNaughton, starter, Reginald Reese, equipment manager, Lloyd Bembridge, technical manager, Chad Wright, event presentation manager, Audrey Thompson, competition secretary, underrun JA, medical, Dr. Cyril Gray and Dr. Emil, and our announcers, Celia French, Earl Spencer, and Sean Grant. Each year, we honor some persons for their contribution to Jamaica's track and field and or to the Excelsior community. For this year, we will recognize former Intersecondary School Sports Association ISA competitions officer, Mr. George Forbes. Mr. Forbes, who passed away 2 years ago, was a highly regarded sports administrator who not only served ISA for 18 years, but was also the face of that organization for almost 2 decades. He will be honored posthumously for his service to the development of Jamaica's track and field. Also being honored are 3 former Excelsior Lady Eagles. These ladies were members of the Excelsior High School athletics teams that captured 4 consecutive girls' champs crowns in 1970 to 1973. This achievement was the first in the history of the meet and solidified the school as an athletic powerhouse by becoming the first Jamaican high school to win both boys and girls champs. Yes. They are Dawn Walker, Grace Fairweather Lewis, and Olympian Debbie Byfield. A round of applause for this year's honorees. Our title sponsor is P.A. Benjamin, and we are happy to have established this working relationship with them as they celebrate 145 years in 2024. Let us welcome Mr. Christopher Powell, who will bring greetings for us.
Thank you, Madam Chairperson. It is truly a pleasure to be here today at the 21st Wesley Powell Benjamin's track meet, an event that has become a true celebration of young athletic talent in Jamaica. I'd like to take the opportunity to acknowledge our esteemed guest speaker, Dr. Safio Franklin, members of the press, members of the organizing committee, persons online, coaches, and students, good morning. We're thrilled to return to the second year as the meet's title sponsor, especially as we celebrate our own milestone, our 145th anniversary. For us, this isn't just a sponsorship, it's a commitment. We've been inspired by Jamaica's proud tradition in track and field, and we want to do our part to ensure that tradition continues by investing in youth athletics. Our support of this meet is part of a 5-year sponsorship agreement, motivated by our firm belief in the power of sports to shape, empower, and uplift young people. Our company has a strong commitment to health and wellness, where we produce pharmaceutical and home remedy solutions for your injury treatments, as well as a range of flavors and products that make nutritious meals and shakes for athletes. Whether it's products to support your recovery after an intense workout, or ingredients to fuel your breakfast or post-training smoothies, we're proud to be a part of your journey to success. And speaking of support, we're excited to invite you all to our upcoming Athletes Workshop on December 6th, 2024 at 11 a.m. Our presentation titled, Beat the Burn, Home Remedies and Treatments for Muscle Soreness. We'll cover essential ways to treat sore muscles and recover faster. We'll introduce you to some of our key pharmaceutical products, such as over-the-counter pain relief options, as well as our herbal rubs and other home remedies, designed with young athletes like you in mind. It's an opportunity you won't want to miss. When we agreed to sponsor this meet for 5 years, our CEO said, investing in Jamaica's young athletes might be the smartest business decision we make. And let me tell you, he was not joking. We genuinely believe that by supporting your dreams and goals, we're building a stronger, healthier, and faster Jamaica. Every race you run, every leap you take, every throw and every jump, each one is a step towards a brighter future for you and for our nation. This track meet, like many things in life, is not just about winning medals and trophies. It's about pushing yourself to be better, to train harder, and to dream bigger. So whether you leave the meet with a medal around your neck or simply a smile on your face, know that you're part of something meaningful. You're carrying on a tradition that has produced champions, and you're building friendships and values that will last a lifetime. I also want to extend our appreciation to the organizers of this meet. It takes dedication and commitment to bring together an event of this scale, and they have done a tremendous job. We're proud to stand alongside them, united in our commitment to a clean, fair, and competitive environment where talent can shine and dreams can grow. Now, I know you all have energy to burn on the track and not till here listening to me. But before I wrap up, here's one last thought. Never underestimate the power of discipline. Talent is wonderful, but what has made Jamaican athletes world famous is our dedication, our heart, and our ability to give 100% every single time. So as we celebrate 145 years of our company's legacy, we want each of you to know that you are a part of that legacy too. You're writing the next chapter of Jamaica's track and field history, and we're proud to support you. So let's have a fantastic and spirited meet. Run hard, jump high, throw far, and give it all you've got. And don't forget, December 6th, beat the burn. Good luck to each and every one of you, and thank you for letting us be a part of this unforgettable journey. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Powell. Ladies and gentlemen, it is time to take a moment to enjoy some entertainment. Please put your hands together for the Excelsior High School Choir.
copy this off for when you're doing the presentations.
Okay.
Cal's manufacturing instructions.
Thank you, Excelsior High School Choir. Thank you for that lovely rendition and the reminder that we should strive for excellence. And now, it is my pleasure to introduce our guest speaker. A friend of Excelsior, this lady is a highly trained and experienced consultant orthopedic surgeon and sports, also experienced in sports administration and event management, and was appointed in 2007 as well as medical director for the local organizing committee for the CONCACAF Under-17 final qualifying round and Red Stripe Champions Cup. She is a published author in her specialty of orthopedics and has additional training in foot and ankle surgery from the Guy's and St. Thomas's hospitals in the UK. Please welcome our most distinguished guest speaker and friend of Excelsior, Dr. Safia Franklin.
Thank you very much for that introduction. When I heard Mr. Gitton speaking, I was wondering what was my role, because his greeting sounded like a speech that I should be giving, right? But thanks again to the organizing committee for the invitation to speak. Those who know me know that I'm not a public speaker, but you chose Mrs. Long to ask me to speak, who was my sports mistress at St. Andrew High, and I can't tell her no. All right, so I was asked to present today on the topic, successful injury prevention strategies for junior athletes. Now, that is a very broad and huge topic, so I'll try my best to do it justice in a short period of time. Now, injury prevention strategies is important because it leads to, long-term development in the sport, or at least working or staying in the sport much longer, right? So the scope of our problem that we need, why it is important that we need to prevent the injury, is that our junior athletes, they are physically immature, they're not grown, they're not skeletal mature, not adults, and so the stresses that they endure, we have to gauge it so that we can make sure that we prevent injuries, that they can perform at a high level, and also continue the sport, that they can transition. So we have to remember, physically immature athletes, we don't want to put too much pressure on them, although they will put pressure on themselves to play or participate even when they are injured, and this can lead to further injuries with significant long-term consequences, which can include career-ending injuries and, of course, mental anguish and disappointment in the athletes because they have not succeeded or haven't fulfilled what they wanted for themselves. Now, in terms of what is our local data, in terms of our injury statistics, right now, the Sports Medicine Association, we're actually trying to put together our local statistics, but we don't have anything readily available. But if we can borrow from the United States, from the CDC, what they have published is that 62% of organized sports-related injuries occur in practice, in training. And overuse injuries accounts for 50% of these injuries, and they found that more than 50% of these sports injuries are preventable. And the rate and severity of these injuries actually increase with age. So that is why we need to embark on injury prevention strategies to prevent all of this. Now, what does it take to have a successful strategy? It's not, a dogmatic thing to say money, manpower, machinery, but these things do help in terms of being able to have a successful strategy. You need money, funding, allocation of resources. You need the manpower in terms of the coaching and the other support staff, from medical to the trainers, to the parents, the athletes themselves, obviously, right? And of course, machinery and equipment. Now, what should our approach be? Now, the approach should be multi-dimensional, multifaceted. We basically need to have the village look after the child. So what we have to do is embrace and encourage and invite all the stakeholders to be part of the sitting round table. Now, and then when we have everyone present at this round table, we then can come up with a comprehensive strategy how we can have effective, sustainable strategies to prevent these injuries so that we can ensure athlete safety and long-term development in the sport. Now, who are these stakeholders that I'm talking about? Obviously, the athlete is the center, right? But the parents and guardians, so the home is very important because we have to have the support of the parents and the guardians. The coaches as well, we have the sports medicine team, we have the coaches, the school administrators are very important in terms of providing that support at a local base for the athletes. The local organizing or local governing bodies and even the international governing bodies also play a role. And this is an example that has been widespread. Everyone know about FIFA with the FMARC program in terms of injury prevention and their research and data and their implementation of these in the warm-up, the FMARC 11, in the warm-up program for the athletes. You found that there's significant reduction in injuries in the footballers, right? The sports psychologist is important as well. Now, in terms of coaching, I am not a coach, Mr. Riley. I step down and stand down to you, but you will be able to know more about this. But in terms of the training design, in terms of, you will talk about your loading, unloading, and cycling and recovery, factoring all of that in your training program. It is very important that rest and recovery is an integral part of your program, so that the junior athletes have ample time to rest and recover, because the body cannot improve without adequate rest and recovery. Because when you're pushing the body to the limits, you're going to need time for the body to repair itself, to build up itself so that it can go again, right? And that's how at support, they need the nurturing and so forth. So age-appropriate strength and conditioning support, they need the nurturing and so forth. So age-appropriate strength and conditioning program is important with that injury prevention focus. And usually you have that support from a strength and conditioning coach, right? And of course, with the coaching aspect of it, avoid overtraining and burnout. So with the athletes now, you guys have an integral role to play in preventing your injuries, right? You talk to your coaches, you interact with your coaches, you know your own body. So if you know that you're feeling pain, we don't subscribe to no pain, no gain. If you're having pain, you know that something is wrong, you talk to your coach, and so that early intervention can be sought in terms of getting you to seek medical advice, and so that preventative treatment can be started. You can tell coach that, I'm feeling tired. Because that is one of the symptoms of overtraining, and overtraining leads to further injuries and leads to burnout, where you're training hard or training more and you're not getting the expected result, right? So you know your body, have that relationship with your coach to say, coach, I'm just not feeling myself. I'm putting in my all, but I'm just not getting the result. It may mean that there needs to be modification in your training program so that you can have, get rest, recovery, and that you can come again in the next cycle. And of course, we need a buy-in and commitment to all these different things from you guys as well, because if you don't trust your coach, you don't trust the process, and you're doing your own thing, then you're going to get injured. The parents and guardians are very important as well, because they will also be able to see the signs of burnout in their child, see any mood changes, see if they're more withdrawn, and can see that. Because what you have to recognize is that mental health is affected by, they're both closely related in terms of mental health. Therefore, if mentally you're not well, physically you're not going to be well, right? The support for recovery, ensuring that there's rest and recovery, ensuring that you guys come off of your phones and sleep, right? Because I know that nowadays, everybody's on their phone till 12, 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock in the morning, whether playing games, talking to your friends, but you're robbing yourself. Your nervous system needs to rest. You need to sleep, you need to recover, because that's the only way, as you're nudging your friend, right? So that's the only way you can recover so that you can perform better. The role of the school administrators. So resource allocation. Each year we have the problem where you have a lot of underfunded schools when it comes to sports programs, but yet they're expected to perform at the top level. Now, we need quality training facilities. I know persons are going to say, well, it takes money. But you have sponsors who have committed themselves. But also what I do recognize is that you have, for quite a bit of schools in Jamaica, we have sponsorship by the Pumas, the Adidas, and so forth. Something to consider is renegotiating some of these contracts. Instead of the apparel, the shoe wear, the clothes, let them invest in building a gymnasium for you and equip it over the years, because then you will have proper equipment, and that will improve your training facility, and have safe equipment for the athletes to use as well. Access to rehabilitative services, obviously, to the sports medicine team. Always important to put in your budget, because not that you plan to get injured. I say to people all the time, we get insurance for our cars, not that we plan to meet in an accident, but in the event that we have an accident, we are covered. So in a similar breath, not that you plan to be injured, but you must always budget that in the event that there's an injury, you have access to the funds to pay for the health care. Right? Managing schedules, preventing burnout as well, does come under the role of the school administrators, because this comes under safeguarding for sport, because with kids, with junior athletes, they are not adults, they are minors, and we have to protect them. So we have to make sure we protect them from themselves, protect them from some of our coaches, to make sure they're not overtrained and burnt out. Now, the role of the sports medicine team, right? Apart from the obvious of medical clearance and so forth, we do injury screening and prevention, where we do periodic assessment and look at biomechanics and see, is there something wrong with the athlete that we can adjust to help to improve their performance and prevent injuries, right? And we also decide, particularly the decision, when is it safe for the athlete to return to play. or to return to their sport. Because when you go back to playing too early after you have an injury, then you are actually making matters worse for yourself, because you will never ever fully recover from your injury, and then you will always get re-injured at shorter intervals, and it then takes a longer time for you to eventually recover. Now, one of the things that we don't utilize a lot of in Jamaica is the sports psychologists. They're available, right? And what is important, just as much as it is physical in terms of you going out there and performing, your mental preparation for the stress of competition is very important, because competition stress can increase your risk of overuse injuries. If you're not mentally into your activity, you can actually injure yourself, right? So the importance of the sports psychologists cannot be overemphasized. They also help in terms of identifying certain signs of burnout and reduce the risk of injury from you having overexertion or lack of mental engagement because you are burnt out. We have to talk about the nutritional aspect of things. So as you can see, there are many persons who play a role in injury prevention. So your nutritionist. So in schools, we have our food and nutrition. Most schools have food and nutrition departments, and we can utilize our food and nutrition teachers to help to plan a program. Excelsior, I'm looking at Excelsior, is an expansive plant. You have a lot of green space. Utilize it. Grow some stuff that you can use in your school feeding program with your athletic program that will help to minimize your costs, right? So we can't say that, oh, it costs a lot. Plant up the grounds, right? You can utilize that in your food program for your athletes, right? So balanced diet, of course, is important so that you have the nutrients, the energy source for training and for recovery as well, because recovery is just as important as having it for training, because if you do not replenish what you use in training, then your body is going to break down and you're not going to have enough for the next day. Hydration, I cannot overemphasize hydration. We always say water is better than nothing. But ideally, you always want some electrolyte-based drink to prevent cramps and injuries, because when you're dehydrated, you set up yourself for injuries. And to the athletes, you have to get into that habit of drinking, keeping yourself hydrated. Even if it is a cool day and you find that you're not sweating, you're still going to be losing water. And then you go out and you go to training, and then you get injured. Remember, as I said, 50% of injuries occur in training, right? Now, in terms of, I mentioned before about FIFA, the role of the sports governing bodies. Now, not only FIFA, but for example, in the US with the little leaguers, they have done studies and recognized that you have elbow injuries based on the number of pitches that you throw. And so based on your age, there are recommendations in terms of what's the maximum number of pitches you can throw for your age. And so similarly, that is something that we need to look at and implement to make sure that we don't overtrain our athletes, our track and field athletes in particular, since we're talking about the track and field event here now, right? So we need to look on stuff like that, right? And also, we need to also make sure that we train our coaches in injury prevention training methods, right? And establish safe training practices. Now, there is a role for government in terms of providing policy and guidelines, funding and resource allocation, access to healthcare and rehabilitative services, and mental health support. Now, when it comes to, and I tend to emphasize the access to healthcare and rehabilitative services, because what we find is that a lot of things are more centralized to Kingston and St. Andrew, and we believe that it should be decentralized. We have our hospitals that are there with their physiotherapy departments, orthopedic surgery departments, and we believe for sports medicine and sports rehabilitation to have access for all our athletes. But that was bought, and the idea was placed on a shelf because we're 20 years later and nothing has come out of it. But right now, that is something that needs to be looked at so that we can help to give our athletes access to health care. In terms of us at the Sports Medicine Association, one of the things that we do on an ongoing basis is periodic health evaluations. And what this entails is musculoskeletal assessments, the medical clearance, but we do this every quarter, and we do it all across the island. And we usually target schools that have less funding for these programs. We target 100 athletes to do these periodic health evaluations, and I can tell you, we've been doing it for 2 years. And never have we met our target of 100. Even when the schools commit to coming, they do not show up. And it is free. They're getting free ECGs, free assessment, recommendations, treatment, even eye tests from Lions Club, and they don't show up. So there's a real thing when you say you can bring the horse to the water, but you cannot force them to drink. We have even provided subsidized transportation that they can come in to the center where we're doing the periodic health evaluation, and the schools don't show up even when they give commitment. So that is something that we need to work on nationally to see how it is that we can get persons to available locally. Now, what would an injury prevention plan look like? Obviously, the strength and conditioning part of it in terms of looking at your muscle imbalances, your functional strength training, flexibility and mobility, technique and form, because if you have poor technique, you are going to cause yourself an injury, right? And so it is very important that the technique is on point. Video analysis, everybody is techie, everybody has phone, there are cameras that are cheap, we can utilize it. So we can reassess the athletes each time and look at their techniques and their form and see how is it that what needs to be addressed so that we can prevent injuries. Periodized training programs, I mentioned before. Rest and recovery, I cannot overemphasize how important that is, right? You can monitor fatigue, listen to your athletes. Mention about the nutrition and hydration, education and awareness, that is very important. And we have to get that buy-in from the athletes, the coaches, the parents, everyone, about proactive injury management through injury awareness. Proper equipment and footwear. In one of the centers that I trained at the Hospital for Special Surgery in New York with Dr. Answorth Allen, who is a Jamaican, and he's a team orthopedist for New York Knicks. And one advice he gave me when I was going to the UK, if you can get into a foot and ankle training program, do it, and which is what I did, and that was the best advice I ever got. Because what he found, and which is the same thing that I found, a lot of complaints that come from the athletes is actually about their feet. And a lot of persons don't recognize that quite a bit of our athletes have flat feet. And that changes our biomechanics. And everybody tends to get the same sneakers, especially when you're getting the same generic sneakers. Now, that does not work for all athletes, especially our flat-footed athletes, because when they do not have that support, what ends up happening on their training on these generic, the same soft cushion sneakers, what happens is that you end up having all of these injuries, the multiple shin splints that are there and occur. Yes, we know that our fields are tough and stony and not properly maintained, but if you don't have the proper shoe wear, you are going to get injured. So that is important, that a simple thing of having appropriate shoe wear will prevent your injury. Now, there are different resources available online that are free, right? That can look on, and books available, looking on your biomechanics and your technique, structured training programs, strength and conditioning, workload and recovery, stuff like that. So, and it's all available. It's not like it's not available to us. And I encourage us all to use the resources that are available so that we can improve on our athletes' performance and injury prevention. Thank you very much. All right, so.
Thank you, Dr. Franklin, for your insights on successful injury strategies for junior athletes. I now invite, Dr. Franklin, could you just come back? I now invite our deputy head girl, one of our deputy head girls, Najada Seymour, who is also a member of the track and field team, to make a presentation.
All right, so on behalf of the Excelsior High School family, we'd like to express our heartfelt gratitude for your presentation today, and for coming out here to present on your insights and experience and everything. You're welcome.
Thank you, Najada. And thank you again, Dr. Franklin. Now, I know we're all eager to hear about the details of the Wesley Powell Benjamin's track and field meet, slated for December 14. I invite the competitions director, Mr. David Riley, to come and share with us the details for the event. Make him welcome.
Thank you, Madam Chairperson. Good morning to you all. All protocols observed. The Wesley Powell Benjamin Track and Field Meet 2025 continues its long history of providing a great opportunity for athletes to compete and for coaches to see where the athletes are in December. And December is a very interesting time of year because December would represent maybe 3 or 4 months of preparation. One of the interesting things about track and field compared to the other sports, right now the Manning Cup is being played and schoolboy football, and most of the teams would have started their preparation maybe at the end of the school term in July. So they would have started in July. The competition starts in September. So they go, preparation would be July and August for a competition in September. For track and field, however, the preparation for competition starts way in advance of the major competition. Our major competition is in March, and most teams start preparing from August. And apparently, some of the other sports have not realized that the preparation phase is more important of all the phases for the athlete's performance. And that's one of the reasons why Jamaica continues to do so well globally, because we spend a lot of time preparing the athletes for what they eventually will do. And so December represents 3 months of preparation so far. And the experienced and knowledgeable coaches will connect December more to what has happened from August rather than look to December being attached to March. So champs is in March, and the December competition is not really about qualifying for champs. The December competition is, let's assess what we have done so far. And that is going to be important to know as we make changes during the Christmas break to go into the competition season. So if you have a coach who is in December concerned about whether the athletes will qualify for champs or not, we have to question how good that coach really is. And so that's why traditionally when this meet started, most of the meets at that time were all over distance events. A lot of people forget the history of Jamaica's track and field and the growth of it, but every single meet in December years ago were all over distance events. Others have changed to running the actual distances, but the actual distances are less helpful to the knowledgeable coach than the over distance. And I'm not throwing any shades, I'm just really using the opportunity to explain the connection between what we do in December and what happens before and after. So the reality is that we're now in a situation where qualification for champs is based on a ranking system. It's no longer based on a fixed performance or qualifying distance or time for the various events. It's now based on how well you ranked versus the other athletes nationally. So for example, to qualify for the 100-meter girls class 1, you need to be in the top 64 athletes nationally. Now, if you run in December, just follow me with the logic. In December, you run a time, and it's supposed to be among the top 64 nationally. Would that time in December, if people are getting better and better and better, would that December time be more competitive than the time you run at the end of February? The end of February would be more competitive because athletes would be sharper, they're running in spikes, they'd have a lot more time. So we don't expect people to come out in December and be in their best shape. And so the qualification for champs is really preparing the athletes for what kind of shape they're in February and the start of March. That's when you really start to see the performances and people moving up and down the rankings. So while the Wesley Powell meet is a qualifier for champs, it is really a time when the coaches assess their performance of the athletes in terms of preparation so far. So the meet is on the 14th of December, as you have been made aware already, and we start at 8:30. We usually start on time. The meet runs very efficiently. In fact, last year we were running a race every 90 seconds. Just imagine that. We had, I think, close to 800 persons running the 150 last year, and it was just sheer efficiency. I was going to say sheer madness, but it wasn't madness. It was sheer efficiency to get so many races done in such a tight schedule. And the meet, we have to finish at 5:30 anyway, because after that, you have to use the phone lights and flashlights to see whether anybody is running out of their lanes, so we don't want to do that. So we start on time. There's no same-day registration. However, packages can be picked up on the morning. We do have a pre-meet workshop, as was mentioned before, and that will be on the 6th of December. The workshop this year will be online at 11 a.m., and it's for all sports persons. It's not just for people competing at the Wesley Powell meet. It's whether you're involved in football, netball, whatever it is, because the topic is important to all student athletes. That same day, we do have the throws clinic, and they'll be doing all the throwing events, including the hammer throw. So they'll be doing a throws clinic, and we do have Dr. Abdullah and her team coming from out of the U.S. to run this particular workshop, and that will be at 2 o'clock right here at Excelsior, and it is open to all persons. The entry fee for the meet is $500 per athlete. It has not changed for the last 4 years, maybe. The same entry fee, unlike the experience elsewhere. Relay entries are $1,000 per relay team. The admission into the venue is $500 per person and $200 for parking. The events, 150 meters, 300 meters, 600 meters, 1,000 meters, 3,000 meters for girls, 5,000 meters, and the 4x300 meter relays. The primary schools this year will run in their own division for 150 and the 300 meters, and they have been running the 4x300 meter mixed relay over the last two staging. This year will be the third time that we're running the mixed relay for primary schools. And interestingly, there are less disqualifications in the primary school mixed relay 4x3 than in the high school. I don't know why, but these kids tend to stay in their lanes. Unlike the bigger folks who tend to be doing all kinds of other things to cause the officials to raise red flags. But we've not had many disqualifications in the primary school division of the 4x3. And so, I see Mr. Perkins here, we should congratulate the primary school coaches for the job that they do in instructions that they give to these athletes. And all of them are under 12. Yeah. The field events, long jump, high jump, shot put, javelin, and pole vault will be an exhibition event, as we have over the last couple of years for allow persons to get a chance of being introduced to the event. Recognize that not many schools have the equipment. We're fortunate to have the equipment and coaches who can coach the event. So we make sure that we have that event on the program for individuals who might be learning the event and are terrified of going into the big stadium in front of the 27,000 people, but willing to come and try their thing in front of just 3,000 or 4,000 people. Easier, right? Yes. The order of events are posted online, and you can access that on our website, wesleypowellmeet.com, and that's where you go for the latest information. relating to the event. But to give you a general idea, we start with the 5,000 meters, then we go into the 300 meters, then the 1,000 meters, the 600 meters, then we have the opening ceremony, and we start with in the afternoon with the 150 meters, the 3,000 meters for girls, and then the 4x300 meter relays. So you get to run the 300 meters in the morning and come back in the late afternoon to run the 4x3. And we have the very fast and exciting 150s running in the afternoon. So persons who come late would get to see all of those as well. So in terms of the track, of course, it's a grass track, and there's so much research about the grass track. In fact, one of the benefits that we have in Jamaica is that we train on grass. And sometimes people tend to think that what they have is not good enough. And because you see so many others with nice, fancy artificial surface, because they are artificial surfaces, then that is what you ought to strive for. But the research is at least 10 years old, that in fact when they studied why Jamaicans do as well as they do, one of the factors was increasingly stated that it's because we train on grass. And I must tell you that we at Excelsior pride ourselves in maintaining a grass track, and I'm sure we could get an all-weather surface if we wanted one. We have big sponsors here, so we could get an all-weather track if we wanted, but we at Excelsior, we have a grass field where we play multiple sports. We have cricket, it's the home of Courtney Walsh, Chris Gale, and lots of great cricketers. We have a track, we have a football field. Our football minor cup team is doing very well right now. Well, didn't do so well yesterday, but they'll rebound. We play softball, lacrosse, so many sports on the same field. And at the same field where we invite you all to come and race together. And that is part of the success of the Jamaican track and field program, the fact that we mainly train on grass. And in fact, if you look at it, the fastest people in Jamaica train on grass. And they all come from Trelawney and that side. Just check it. Bolt and Freight and all of them come from. Anyway, so it's a great place to come and race. And we have the first 400-meter track that was laid in Jamaica. It's this track, laid before the track at National Stadium. Prior to that, of course, it was 440 yards. So it was a different measurement. So it's not like we were the first to have a track. But when it changed from imperial to metric, we were the first to have a metric track. So we can say it's the first, right? But we know we're the only 9-lane track in Jamaica. So we can say that. So yes. And it's not 9 lanes where you squinch up on your elbow touching the other person. It's a regulation size track. 9 lanes, and we invite all persons, all schools, various levels, clubs and institutions, primary schools, to come and share with us on this day of excitement. We look forward to a great day, weather permitting, and we hope that you will have a great time racing with us. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Riley, for providing us with those details. We are definitely looking forward to Saturday, December 14. Of course, none of this would be possible without our kind sponsors. So our list of sponsors includes some of Jamaica's best companies, and we greatly appreciate their involvement in our meet. Our title sponsors. Title sponsor, P.A. Benjamin. Our gold sponsors, Grace Kennedy Remittance Services, Excelsior Class of 1980, Dr. Abdullah. Our hospitality sponsor, Manpower Maintenance Services Limited. Our hydration sponsor, LASCO, telecommunications sponsor, Flow, or associate sponsors, Staff Arm Services, Vector Technology Institute, Caribbean Assurance Brokers, Technique Lab, Tank Weld Fabrication, Pam Hall, Mothers, Docutech, Caribbean Depot Limited, Dr. Newton Duncan, Bonnie Levy Associates, Cal's Manufacturing, Underrun Events Management, 3-in-1 Construction and Technical Services, EFAST, Troppy Shades, Darren Green, Paul McCallum, Sydney and Nicola Crisp, Arnold Aiken, Weber's Engineering Services, Garth Sherwood, Kimon Campbell, Dr. Dwight Benjamin, Rapid Procurement, Donnet Grant, Mikey Davey, George Willie, Marbe Enterprises Limited, Michael Alexander, Charles Wire Murray, John Simmons, Don Walker, Charles Ellis, Michael Turner, Excelsior Past Students Association, the Packer Family, Source Technology Limited, Kamal Kambui, Dennis Warren, and Donald Luton. We express our gratitude to our sponsors. Thank you so much for coming on board. At this time, we will have a video presentation. No? Okay. All right. So at this time, we'll invite our sponsors to make the presentations. Now we invite our title sponsor, P.A. Benjamin. All right, so we have more presentations coming from our title sponsor, P.A. Benjamin. All right, so we have our next sponsor. Our hospitality sponsor and one of our gold sponsors, Manpower Maintenance Services Limited. Okay, we invite our other sponsors who are here to come and make their presentations. Okay, let me invite Carl's Manufacturing, Ms. Sabrina Thomas, Marketing Coordinator. Come over this side. Come to the center. In the center, so we can have the backdrop. Our next sponsor, Caribbean Assurance Brokers Limited. eFast, our next sponsor. We welcome Caribbean Depot Limited. Are they here? Please come. Technique Lab, no, that's not it, Mr. Bromfield. Technique Lab. Is that it, Mr. Riley? All right. Thank you so much to our sponsors. We express our gratitude to you. At this time, I'll now invite questions from the media. If you have any questions for us. Members of the media? Yes, gentleman from IRA FM. Yes, it's a qualifier for champs. Yes, it is. Right, Mr. Riley? Where did he disappear to? Yes, it is. I have a question for you, sir. That's it? Okay, thank you. Any other questions from the media? All right, going once, going twice. All right. Then I want to thank you all for sharing today in this, the launch for the 21st staging of the Wesley Powell Benjamin's Track and Field Meet. We are indeed grateful for your support. To our sponsors, we extend our sincerest gratitude for your generosity and commitment to this event. To our athletes, coaches, and team and meet officials, we wish you all the best as you prepare for this prestigious competition. And to our guests, both in person and online, thank you for joining us today. We look forward to a successful and memorable 21st Wesley Powell Benjamin's Track and Field Meet. See you on Saturday, December 14, right here at Excelsior High School.
Let them know that some refreshments for them. Refreshments.
All right, blessings to you all. Please stand for the national anthem. Ladies and gentlemen, there is refreshment at the back of the auditorium for you. Thank you.